Hello. We each go through different moments in life. We have each a journey of life that began when we were born. And as we move through life, just like how a baby learns to walk, when it's beginning to learn, it keeps its step forward. And then what gives it the impetus to go to the next step is a certain stability, a certain constancy by which it finds a footing, a reason that says it is safe now to try attempting keeping the next step. Yeah? And then when it finds that the step it's taken is really holding still and it is not shaky and it will really support it, that's when it keeps its next step forward. And then it continues that way. Once it finds its footing, that it is sure that it stays. It's a nice staying support. That's when it takes its next step and keeps forward. Similarly, when it's walking, when it begins to crawl and then it begins to walk, it takes the support of something. It requires something by which to hold on to that says, this is okay. This is going to be there. It's not going to move around. It's going to be there. A certain surety that is somatically, that is bodily felt, as it's not going to just go away. It's not ephemeral. Similarly, as it's growing, there are people around to support. There's a mother, there's a father, there's a caretaker whose presence assures the baby that, yeah, there are many things which is unknown, and in all of that, there is this one person or this one touch or this one experience that says that, this is there. Just try around and feel this. See how it is to experience something that stays. And then from there, develop what it takes to now move to the next step. What am I referring to here is there's something, somebody, or some experience that says, I'm there for you. Even if there is nobody else has faith, nobody else does something, there is somebody or something, some experience that says, this is there, I'm there. And then with the assurance of that, you test out, you try for some stability, and then when you find it, that it's not moving away, it's still there, that's when it's like the amoeba now finds, the amoeba is a unicellular organism. And what it does is it shoots out pseudopods, which is false legs from its unicellular body, by which it feels the environment. And then when it feels that, okay, now there's some stability, it presses onto it and then rolls its body onto it. And that's how it walks. Similarly, so what I'm referring to here is some experience, somebody who says, I'm here. And with that assurance, what seems like some semblance of assurance, the person, the baby, the entity, finds something by which to try out this assurance. And then once it finds that, yes, it is still there, it's not moving away, it's not ephemeral, then it finds the footing by which to hold on to it and then raises up and moves to the next step. We each need this for us to grow, for us to attach onto something that is stable, like a creeper, like a plant that's growing on the wall. It needs some stable surface on which to hold on to and then to grow from there. I found this to be very, very important. For me, I did go through a phase a few years back when the life, the way I knew it, whom I knew as my relatives, people around me, my friends, my colleagues, everything kind of came into question. And, well, let's just say my cup of life was nicely stirred, so that I had to then look through and discover where is the sweetness in my life, where is anything that abides, that doesn't just go away, which is going to be there. And for me to then discover where I am, who I am, what is life, what it is by which I can live and subsist. So it became an existential experience, an existential question of finding out who I am, what I am, why am I here, what's my purpose in living, and all of that. And during one of those phases, I came to a point where I thought, I don't know whom to rely, who are my relatives, who are my friends, who are my colleagues, and it seemed like nobody had faith in me. Each were in their own worlds, and nobody quite were there to say, I'm here, you're going to be fine. It didn't, in my experience at that point in time, there was none. And that's when I kind of told myself that even if nobody else is there, I am there for me. And with that, it was very strange. Well, it may be slightly difficult to comprehend. But then when I stood up for me, when it seemed like there was nobody else there, something changed. When I stood up for me, with that assurance, which is from nowhere, kind of. It's not something real. It's not, well, it is very real in the it's like my own self standing up for me. And from there, I began to look at what is it that is actually standing, which is actually working. And there are some things which seem like working. There are some daily activities which seem like working. And I think for a few times, at least for a few months, maybe even a year, I may have gone through some phase of what it seems like obsessive compulsive disorder, where I was compulsively holding on to some things that worked, like certain ways of doing things. After this, you do this. After this, you do this. Because it seemed to work, because it seemed to help me move through my everyday life. It had me eat, it had me go to office, it had me do things. And so I stuck on to those things in that particular order because it was working. So to that extent, there was a certain form of obsessive compulsiveness. And from there, I began to notice other forms of things that really worked. Yeah, there were these things that were working, and then I was looking at what else is working, whose support can I reliably hold on to, and what is there around me. I knew that, okay, there's a sunlight, and every day morning that's coming up, and then in the night it sets, but again in the morning it comes up. For sure there is a sunlight, there is a wind, yeah. And then there is the earth. For sure earth is there at all times. It's not like shaking around, it's there. So I was looking at what are the things that is very certainly there. And then there were certain books that I held on to, like for my life. Like somehow I came across this Vivekananda's book, a small treatise, and then I held on to it because it seemed to be speaking to me in a way that assured me. And then from there, in one of the verses, he said, refer to the Upanishads. There is so much wisdom in it. And then I went looking for that because this book says it is good. So I went looking for a version of Upanishads. I found that so much of support, and I still continue with that. So I was looking for what are those things that really stays, never leaves me. It will always keep supporting me. And these I found. So my range of what I would call as obsessive compulsiveness, from a few things that worked, moved to greater things that sustain the test of time. Yeah? And thereby I found my wherewithal to be and to interact with life and to find greater reasons for being in existence, and thereby to also support other people who may be looking for it, who may be in their own different states of questions, their own states of existential angst. And these are things that definitely works for me. And when I share this with people, I find that they also find support in what I'm talking about. Let's just say it's just a phase of life that taught me something very profound, and which was probably there for somebody to discover and then to talk about them to other people so that they can also discover. Maybe it's a process, it's a phase, it's a method of life to bring about something which is not already there. In the studies of systemic constellation, family constellation, we were told that there's a movement of the greater soul. What means is there is the individual soul, and then there's a collective soul, and then there's the greater soul, which governs through all things. Yeah, and from time to time, whenever there's an imbalance, whenever there is a disorder, and things are not going as well as it should be, then either the individual soul or the group soul, collective soul, or the greater soul brings about a movement to set things right, to bring about a balance, to bring about a comprehension, and to bring about a certain understanding by which life finds support and then makes the next movement, which again not only corrects it but actually makes things better for not only the individual, collective, or the whole race or species, or the whole living organism, or for life itself. So when I'm retrospecting, it seems like what I went through is kind of like the movement from the greater soul to bring about a correction, to bring about a certain understanding, a certain comprehension about what life is and the value of life and the purpose of living and why is life in existence, and the value of each one of us, the contribution that each one of us has to make in the schema of life. As I move through life, this is what I see as one of the reasons for why I went through that, and I still continue to inquire into it and go through things, because this is what I am about. This is what greatly inspires me. From all that I've said here, well, what inspires me a lot is to try and, as much as possible, to try and set things right, to do the right things by which to bring about a balance, a harmony between different aspects, to bridge the gap between different aspects that we have, different opposites apparently, and thereby to bring about a deeper understanding, a profounder connection with life, with ourselves, with the universe, with all that is around us, and thereby come to see not only where we are and where is this place that we're born into, but why are we here? Who are we here? And why are we born at all? That each one of us matter, and in what way we matter in the scheme of things. Now, if any of this content that I've spoken about in this video, if it connects with you, if it resonates with something that is meaningful to you, if you find something very much worthwhile in being able to stand up for yourself and or stand up for somebody who may be going through a difficult phase maybe, or who may be going through a challenge of their own, and for whom a little support, a little I'm there for you, and constantly being there, and then them experiencing that, or even if it's you standing up for yourself and you experiencing that you're constantly standing up for yourself, and what that makes available to you and your life, or to that person and to their life, and also to your life. Not necessarily in that order, but what does this make available to each one of us and our lives? I'll leave you with this inquiry, which is very profound in experience once you stand up for and stand by this. Do leave your comments below. Do like and subscribe to this channel if you think there is substantial value in what I'm speaking about here, and what I appeal to each one of us who's watching this, to each one of you who's inquiring into this. Let's keep the conversation going. Do let me know if I may be of any support to you in your own journey, and let's discover a world. Let's find a way. Let's build bridges that bridges gaps and has us experience life, live life in harmony and, and peace. I think it's a long time due that we all experienced, each and all of us experienced what that means, really. Thank you for listening.